Welcome, viewers. This evening, this is a Health Up Show, Elevate TV. It is. We are glad you're joining us this evening, and we are hoping you trust that our program and our show is, benefiting us and empowering us in terms of, getting in our knowledge. More skills where appropriate, and even changing our attitudes. So we are glad that you have tuned in tonight. Your host tonight, my name is Onesimus Mogo, coming from the Oak Healthcare, Oak Medical Center, there in Thika, and we are glad that we are here tonight. So tonight we're going to be discussing on a very, let me say interesting or unique, may not be unique, it's quite, discussed in some circles, but it's quite a very important aspect in terms of health, because remember, for us, health is about wellness, is about, empowering us, is about prevention and making our lives better and increasing ultimately the quality of life. So we're going to be looking at the aspects of parenting, and this is sometimes a very hot potato, is parenting discipline, is parenting beating, is parenting intimidating or humiliating, or what exactly is parenting? We're going to be looking at all these, or are those part of parenting, or what are they? And tonight I'm glad to have been joined by one, my good friend, and a great man. He is a counseling psychologist, Frederick Owande. It's a pleasure that you're coming to the show tonight.
Thank you.
And you really found time to be with us this evening. Now, as we just delve on this matter about parenting, something about Frederick. Frederick is a counseling psychologist, like I just said, very passionate about matters to do with our wellness, mental health, counseling in terms of group counseling, individual counseling, issues to do with gender-based violence and post-trauma and all these kind of empowerments in these areas. Frederick is one that is really quite strategic and quite passionate, having also quite some years of experience working in different places. And welcome so much, Fred. So
Thank
maybe Fred, the same person really.
Right.
You can just introduce yourself to the viewers tonight, and telling us something about yourself. Who is this Fred, and where you coming from?
Yeah, as he has just said, my name is Frederick Owande. I'm a counseling psychologist. Currently, I'm working in Kisumu with KMET. KMET stands for Kisumu Medical and Education Trust.
Yes.
This is an NGO that is based in Kisumu. In this field of counseling and psychology, I've been here for the last 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 12 years practicing and working.
Yeah.
I have experience with the NGO world.
Wow.
I have been a humanitarian in the humanitarian field.
Wow.
And right now I work in Kisumu. So privately, I also see my clients back in Eldoret. I partner with Kenya Association of Professional Counselors. That is where I'm also a member. An alumni at the same time.
Right.
That is where I did my higher diploma in counseling psychology. I'm also a trainer and a facilitator at the same time. Yeah.
Welcome, viewers. That's Fred. And if you're just joining us, tonight, we are live on our social media platforms as Facebook and I believe YouTube and Elevate TV, again on Facebook. So you can just, leave your comments or send your comments. We'll be glad, to hear how this is going to be of benefit to all of us. And if you're on TV, just keep it Elevate. This is for general viewership, we can watch with our families, with our children, and all of us can benefit. Tonight, we're going to be looking at matters, parenting, and we're looking at a perspective on, parenting and health, and most, on, just inclining towards mental health, because really health is broad, but inclining towards mental health. Probably, Fred, you could help us understand what is parenting, because we all have different views, and different thoughts about what parenting is. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Parenting is varied and it has different angles. Yeah, your style of parenting will be definitely different from mine.
Right.
Now, when I look at parenting, I don't want to define it based on the reference material.
Okay.
This is how I look at parenting.
Yes.
To me, parenting is like having my own vehicle. This is a family vehicle. I am the driver. And as I drive, from Nairobi to the village,
okay,
and I'm having my family
yes,
on board. Now, what is the work of the driver? The work of the driver is to ensure that I see the bumps,
okay,
I see the potholes,
all right,
I avoid the sharp bends,
okay,
I I become very, very cautious of the oncoming vehicles.
Absolutely.
Now, when we look at all these bumps, sharp bends,
Yes.
potholes,
Yeah.
and the oncoming vehicles,
Yes.
and I have my family on board,
Yes.
and I have a co-driver
Yes.
who is my partner.
Exactly.
Now, the sharp bends
Yes.
will be drugs
Wow.
about my family,
Okay.
my children. The potholes
Yes.
could be weird sexual orientations.
Right.
The oncoming vehicles
Yes. Yes.
could be something to do with alcoholism
Yes.
and any other vice in the society.
Exactly.
So what is my work? My work as the driver
Yes.
is to navigate, to
navigate.
ensure
Yes.
I maneuver carefully
Right.
so that the people I have interest in that are on board are safe
Wow.
from all these vices.
Wow.
That is how I look at parenting.
You look up and really you're bringing in a very interesting aspect, because you're saying, parenting has the essence of leadership,
Right.
has the essence of care, has the essence of someone who is, well, for lack of a better word, a protector, in that sense.
Wow.
And you have the goodwill of the ones that you're actually leading or you are parenting, which are the children, to arrive safely. You want that their final destination and the person they later become in life, become the person who we really admire and who is going to be a help to society. Wow, that's awesome. That's good.
Their destination
Yes.
is my best interest.
Their destination is your best interest.
Exactly.
Awesome.
That is
Awesome.
my objective.
Now, when you look at that, of course, you're going to be talking about a few matters, mentioned about, at some point, the style of parenting and all that. But how has this, because what we are seeing now, I'm not sure is what used to be there before. In the 21st century, the way I was actually brought up, in the family where I'm born, where I'm a firstborn, and, the ones who are born after me, like our last born, quite a gap there. But it looks like the way the driver navigated in my days, using your words, is not the same way the driver navigated in her days, with this difference in years. So what is this over the past years over time? Parenting in the 21st century and in nowadays is not as used to be. What is your comment on this, and what are some of these things that are changing this, or what can you comment about it?
You're taking me back to how I was brought up.
Right.
And how the people before me were brought up.
Yes.
And the history I've been reading.
Yes.
Now, it has indeed changed.
Right.
Yeah. And it has been affected with many factors. Many factors are contributing towards this.
Yes.
Look at a time when
Yes.
I was still young. Anybody in the society could correct you.
Wow. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anybody in the society
Yes.
could correct you.
Yes.
A neighbor could correct you.
Yes.
Right now, you cannot do that. You cannot correct a neighbor's child. Yeah, it will be a big case.
It will be a big issue.
So,
yes.
it is true. It has evolved. It has a different face as opposed to in the past. So it comes with its own burdens.
Those own issues.
It
Yes.
has its own burden. Because if you look at in the past, let's look at the African context. There are communities whereby the woman or the mother
Yes.
was totally in charge
Exactly.
of taking care of the children. This is where we had absent fathers because they were totally engaged in fending for the family.
True.
So this has changed right now.
Yeah.
It reached a point whereby we started co-parenting, working together to ensure that our children are safe. Now, right now as we talk, we are so overburdened
Okay.
because we are running up and down
Yes.
to try and make ends meet.
True.
Yes. We are trying to put something on the table.
Yes.
And this is where their mother will walk out in the morning.
Wow.
I will walk out in the morning as the father,
Yes.
and I will be back in the evening.
Yes.
Their mother will be back in the evening. So who are we leaving our children with?
The house
With the
manager.
house manager.
Yes, the house
That is
manager.
the house help.
Yes.
So we don't know the orientation of the house help. We don't know. This is an adult whom we have brought on board to take care of our children while we are away during the day. But right now, things are changing. Now, I am with my children, but I am not with my children at the same
Exactly.
time. Yeah.
The values that are being inculcated in these children, you
Mm-hmm.
know, these are things that are coming up from your conversation, is that they are not your values.
They're not
They are the
mine.
values of the house manager. They are the values of the one you left your children, the caretaker, you left the children with. So you are there, but you are not there.
Yes.
Wow. So this is what you're telling us, is that the parenting in our day is has been faced with many challenges, and this is not without outcomes that sometimes could be negative, you know, in that sense, as much as, you know, there are also positive things happening as we develop in many ways,
Right.
or as the world evolves, but we are not negating the fact that this could also have some negative challenges.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So that makes us to be absent, both of us.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So you're talking of work, you know, you're talking of technology,
Many things.
you are talking of you know, ambitions that you are pursuing, you know,
Exactly.
in life. You're also talking about, you know, an aspect whereby, you know, previously the society, you know, everyone would take responsibility of raising up a child, even if it's a neighbor, to correct them and set them. But nowadays it's not the same. Wow.
And we have become so much egocentric in the present time, in the sense that my personal advancement, my personal development comes first.
Okay.
So I will sacrifice my family to go to the US for further studies for like 2 or 3 years. Then when I come, I will not find them the same, because this is a long period of time. But the fact is, I wanted to develop myself. I just wanted to develop myself.
Viewers, this is becoming something, you know, we have to think about the generation to come as we advance our careers, and as we take time outside there, we must think of the young ones, you know, who we have brought forth, and make sure that our generations to come are actually better than us. And this is what we are discussing tonight. If you're just joining us with Frederick Owade, we are talking about and looking at really an overview about, you know, parenting. Now, why do you think, Frederick, is really important for us to think about parenting in our day? Why is it important to discuss parenting even today, you know, in a word or two?
Very important, because we are losing a generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are losing a generation.
And it is presenting. And even in the last few days, we've heard it in the media stations.
Yes.
Children burning schools, children carrying machetes to the school.
Absolutely.
Just to,
very sad.
To harm teachers.
Yes.
Children planning to kill their fathers, just poisoning, so that they could not meddle in their relationships. So it's important that we are there.
Yes.
It's very, very important that we are there. Because if you look at the world right now, we have lost it. We have just lost it, and we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to ask ourselves those hard and honest questions, and we need to answer those questions. Because if we hide ourselves, we bury our heads in the sand,
True.
we are losing them.
We are losing a
on the
generation.
verge, actually we are on the verge of losing a beautiful generation.
Oh dear, that's so sad. But I think something good, as we just discuss these matters and bring them to the light, I believe our viewers, you know, you pick up something, even if it's 1 or 2, you know, items or 1 or 2 points that is going to help us even in our day. Fred,
Yes.
this aspect of parenting, you know, the biggest question is, so when does parenting begin? Because in other words, we are saying there's something that is happening that is not right in our present day. So do we begin parenting this person when they become, you know, 10 years, 15 years, or 5 years? When does a parent begin to be involved? Or who is this parent? When does parenting begin? Because I believe there's a beginning point. I'm not sure whether there's a principle by we add. Maybe you will tell us. But I want to believe, you know, we have boundaries and we have somewhere we can say parenting begins here, so that when you get it right, you know, recently I was listening to, you know, a friend of mine who is also a pastor, and he said a statement that has baffled my mind over the past weeks. He said, you know, marriages, these are different, you know, topic altogether, but let me just put across the statement. He said, marriages don't end wrongly, you know, they just begin wrongly. And this is quoting, you know, Pastor Mr. T. You know, marriages don't end wrongly, they actually begin wrongly. So do we have, you know, such in parenting? Where does parenting begin? So where is the foundation, so that we get it right from the word go? Once we get it right, we are good to go. Yes.
It could be. With parenting, where does it begin? Parenting is your impact.
Wow.
Your impact on the young one. When does it begin?
Exactly.
When the woman conceives and you're expecting a baby, you start communicating with this baby as the father.
All right.
Yeah, there is communication.
There is communication and we are putting it deliberately as the father, because of course the mother is carrying the child. We are not in assumption also that is also communicating, but you are saying both parents.
Yeah.
All right.
The presence of the father
Yes.
is very, very vital.
Wow.
To the growth of the baby. Yes. And now, the other aspects of parenting,
Yes.
and this is where I normally say that now parenting is beginning,
Yes.
is when you can tell a child and take it. You can tell a child no, and a child understands it's a no.
Right.
And this begins at age 2.
Age 2.
At 2 years, when you can tell your child
Yes.
no,
Yes.
not stop,
Yes.
but no.
No.
And your child takes the no
Yes.
and understands the no.
Exactly.
That's when parenting begins. Then along the way,
Yes.
along this journey of parenting, so there are some things that a parent will be doing. Your presence, your emotional attachment,
Exactly.
and everything. Provision of nutrition, education, and everything. So along this line, and of course, giving your child the moral advice,
Exactly.
the moral bits of life. These are what you are taught by your parents, what you are taught by life as a society.
Yes.
So as you go along, by age 13 or 12,
Yes.
you should be expecting, if you did it well, you should be expecting your daughter or your son to be responsible. That is, maturity is now jetting in.
True.
Age 13 to 14.
Yes.
So you will just observe it if you are a present parent.
Right.
You will just observe it and you will know if my daughter, my son are responsible.
Exactly.
Are they responsible? Yes. Now, if something misses here, these are gaps which will manifest in adulthood.
Wow.
Yeah. So if something misses here,
If something is missing.
if we say now Onesimus is missing in the child's life, something will happen to this child
in the future.
that only psychologists will know this child has a gap and missed something during
that
childhood.
age of 13, 14, 15.
Yes, in
All
between
right.
there.
In between there.
Yeah.
All right. And as you're saying that, do we have, well, I know there are some, things that we need to bring, come back to in terms of that sequence you're talking about. But does it end at some point? Does parenting end at some point?
Parenting can end. And if you're keen enough, it might not end. It might force you to proceed.
Okay.
Depending on how you are measuring growth in your house.
All right.
How are you measuring growth? Because we cannot say at 14 and there are still gaps.
Yes.
I need to be there even at 16,
Exactly.
at 17,
Right.
because I need to fix something. Because I want a functional adult
Yes.
in the future.
In the future.
Yeah. So it's upon me to watch my child and to determine whether my child can go it alone or still needs me.
Absolutely.
In his life or in her life.
Wow. Viewers, this is really interesting. The father, and I am one, so I'm saying that consciously, needs to be present as soon as, there is conception that has taken place. Actually, Fred, just quoting on some articles, just reading recently, and they were just, it's actually research, and this is something that's confirmed also scientifically, that by the time, a woman is around 10 weeks, 15 weeks, 16 weeks, there are different kind of things that are done in terms of follow-up of this particular lady, in what we call antenatal profile. They're actually saying that by the time this child, the mother rather, is actually 15 weeks pregnant, the baby is able to respond, which you call the fetus, including to mother's laugh or even cough. When this mother or this lady goes to, for an ultrasound scan, just to check, whatever, the doctors have sent them for, or for well-being or anomalies or things like that, or abnormal growth or well-being, the child is also, the fetus or the child is able to respond even to the probe of the scan in a manner to protect themselves. If they feel a needle, they can actually be able to even clench their fist in a way to protect themselves. So these are, what we are basically saying is that these individuals, as much as they're in their mother's womb, they are responding, and they are aware of the environment. And we are saying, communicate to these young ones. Communicate to the child. It's an assumption that the mother really does so, and we will encourage because the mother is carrying the baby, but we're also calling upon the fathers to really be involved in terms of this particular process. And of course, as the child is born, because most of us think that really is going to begin later, but as you're telling us, we need to be deliberate about this particular process and be present. I know this is a whole topic altogether. In some other time we may talk about an absent father or an absent parent, in diverse ways, but just in a matter of mention, this is what you're just bringing up, that we should be careful and we should be keen about it. Now,
what you're just mentioning,
yes, please.
You are talking about vibes.
Okay.
These are vibes. They could be negative.
Yes.
They could be positive.
They could be positive. Yes.
My relationship
Yes.
with the mother who's carrying the baby,
yes,
has a lot to do with the survival of the child or the fetus.
Right.
Yeah, in the womb. So, if I abuse the mother emotionally, these are vibes that will go down to the fetus, and it can really affect the fetus. Our environment and everything, our behavior and everything has a lot to do with this being that is coming. Yeah.
Very interesting, because what we are saying is parenting has already begun, and in a way or the other is affecting the health, because you see, we are discussing about parenting and health. So this parenting, even though this baby is not born, there is something that is, remember the definition of, or rather how you described, parenting, in the introduction, that really this particular person is a parent, is a driver in creating an environment. So the environment being created here is not conducive to this particular baby. So that is not good parenting. That's not good environment. So that's not good parenting.
Right.
And it has negative aspects to the unborn child.
Exactly.
Our viewers, this is Health Up and on Elevate TV, and we are glad that you're really watching. We are almost to go for a break, but I want you to there are numbers going down on your screen, and you can actually leave a comment, leave a question. We trust we can be able to interact with you, and we are here to be able to delve on this matter, be able to discuss as much as we can issues or overviews of parenting and how that affects, issues of health with the baby and the ones that we are bringing up. And we have our guest Frederick Wande this evening, and we are glad that he's, together with us. Now, Fred, just before we leave that, there's something also about, I think this unborn child is a big matter. Allow me just to take a minute on that, and probably you can comment. What do you say about issues? You're talking about environment affecting the emotional aspects, the social aspects of the unborn child. Do you also want to comment the same and say it's the same aspect whereby we talk about the nutrition of the mother, how well they're able to take care of themselves? Is that also parenting to this unborn child?
The mother's behavior.
Yes.
The mother's behavior
Yes.
entails a lot.
Yes.
What does the mother eat?
Yes.
Yeah, that is nutrition.
Yes.
What does the mother indulge in?
Exactly.
In her leisure life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does she smoke? Does she drink? Does she do this and that? It has implications
Exactly.
on the fetus.
On the fetus.
It has implications. So, as a mother who is carrying the baby,
Yes.
this is the first parent.
Yes.
Now, she should be very careful on what she takes in.
Exactly.
Yeah, what she takes in terms of nutrition, on what she takes in when she's on leisure and everything.
And everything.
Because everything a mother does,
Yes.
everything a mother consumes, there is a beneficiary.
Exactly.
There's a beneficiary inside here.
And that one that she's taking care of.
Exactly.
Now, what would you say when you talk about parenting? What would you say are some of the ingredients? Are there some, I hope that's a good word, but some of the ingredients of parenting, what is it that someone would think they have, or probably they should have, for them to say and for them to be able to do parenting?
That's a very nice question. Now, there are two powerful ingredients
Right.
in parenting. And these are two elements that are almost opposing each other.
Okay.
Love and structure.
Love and structure.
Yes.
Okay.
Love. This is whereby you offer companionship.
Yes.
You are there for the child.
Right.
You can connect emotionally.
Yes.
Now, structure. This is where we have our own contract with the child.
Now, wait a minute. We are saying love. It's a matter of presence,
Being there,
being there,
emotionally connected.
emotionally connected.
Yes.
Yes.
And caring.
And caring.
Yeah. And loving.
And loving.
Yes.
And this is interesting because these are not very tangible things. And sometimes they are easy to miss out. But it's an ingredient of parenting.
The powerful
That if that is not there, if that is not expressed, if that's not given, then parenting is not complete.
Yes.
Right.
Now, the structure here comes in,
Yes.
whereby we lay down our rules.
Okay.
our rules of the game in this house.
Rules of engagement.
Yeah, rules of engagement
Yes.
in this house.
Yes.
Now, these are a little bit tough. Yeah. That is why I was telling you they are like opposing each
Yes.
other.
They are more
So
opposing each other.
the
Yes.
biggest task you have as a parent in this house
Yes.
is to balance the two.
Balance the two.
Balance the two.
Yes.
Because you can't offer one absolutely and leave one, because they also have their own negative implications. If you offer love alone, you know what will happen to this child, because this is where you will not correct this child.
Okay.
This is where you will not punish.
Right.
You will only be rewarding.
Yes.
Yes. So you will only be the good father, the good mother, and everything.
The bribing father and the bribing mother.
You are buying the child.
Yeah. You're buying the child.
buying the
Your own child.
Your own child. And you know it has implications. This child is growing.
Yes.
And very soon,
Yes.
he or she will want to become independent.
Exactly.
So how will he or she survive? Life is about relationship. Life is about interaction.
Yes.
How are you going to interact with those people outside there? And yet, I had not taught you how to interact.
Wow.
There are those elements that I will have to impart in you so that you can survive in the world without me.
Wow. And that's now where you balance between the love
Yes.
and the structure. And you know, interesting, before we go for a break, when I look at the word, you know, even scripturally, when I look at the word father, you know, there is the aspect whereby the father, you know, will be loving and expresses that. I think that's part in Greek. No, can't remember the exact words. But the father is going to express that love. And, you know, he's going to embrace. And what can separate us from the love of God? Indeed, there's nothing.
Yeah.
But the same father expressed in scripture, the same scripture also tells us that at one point, the father is going to chasten. The father is going to discipline. So we are saying that even in the Holy Scriptures, we are finding the two aspects.
Yes.
That you actually have the loving father, we are having the father who is protective, the one who is embracing, the one who is hugging, the one who is always telling, you are my son and you're my daughter.
Yes.
But a time will come and he is going to to take the rod.
It is not without correction.
It is not without the rod of correction.
Yes.
Because you don't want to lose this child. Because the scripture says if you spare the rod and you spoil the child.
Right.
So if you keep down the rod of correction, so there has to be structures.
Right.
And you're saying the structures are also going to help us and to enable this particular child, even in the future, to be able to interact with other people, interact with the society, and become a person who is really, you know, they are not outside the boundaries, because of course there are governments, you know, outside there that are going to, you know, come in if the child is not behaving in the right
I
manner.
normally say this,
Yes.
we should not prepare the world for the child.
Okay.
We should prepare the child for the world.
We should not prepare
The world
for the child.
Yeah.
We should prepare the child
For the world.
for the world.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to go on a short break. That statement cannot be, you know, decoded within a few seconds. We just need to go for a short break, and when you come back, we'll hear more, you know, as we just delve on this, you know, parenting in the 21st century, how that is affecting health, and how we can be able to improve what we are doing by the grace of God. Don't touch that dial, keep it elevated. We are coming back just after the short break.